Thank you. Please be seated. Prefect joke of the day. Why do ducks have such long butt feathers?
Why?
To cover their duck quack.
Allie always makes you think, it's good. Our first hymn is hymn number 57, Hark the Herald Angels. 57, please stand. Very nice. Thank you. Please be seated. So thank you all for being here this morning. I know you're here not voluntarily, but I thank you for being here anyways. I don't know if I've told you the story about the guy that on Sunday morning he woke up and his mother came into the room and said, "Gerald, it's time for church. Get up." And he said, "Mom, it's raining, it's dark, I don't want to get up." She said, "Gerald, you have to go to church this morning." And he said, "Mom, they treat me so badly over at the church. I just don't like it there." Finally, he said, "Gerald, you're the pastor of that church. You have to get over there. The people are waiting for you." Anyways. So on this dark morning, it's obvious that we are in a season of contrasts. Physically, it's the darkest time of the year. But spiritually and we could say culturally, this is really the season of light. You only have to cast your mind back a couple of days to the event that we had out here that we wouldn't have at any other time of the year. What was that? Light up, right. So human beings, we love light. And I think it's partly because, we're not comfortable with darkness. And for good reason. Darkness can be frightening. We can't see what's out there. And it's dangerous to stumble around in the dark. We might walk off a cliff or bump into a wall or run into a bear, without seeing it. So my family has a little cabin, as some of you know, on a Gulf island without any electricity or any services of any kind. And we've chosen to light the cabin with candlelight only and oil lamps, mostly because of the romantic feel of it. But when the last candle is blown out at night, it is really dark, especially at this time of year. It's utterly dark. And we once had some friends that went to stay for a couple of days. They were going to stay for a week, but after a couple of days, they called us and asked us to come and get them and take them home. They didn't like it there. It was too dark, they said. It was scary. Anyone afraid of the dark? Oh, a few of us. Anyways, I remember thinking at that time how rare it is for any of us to experience complete darkness. Some people actually pay money to go sit in a sensory deprivation tank just so they can have that experience of darkness. So as a symbol, darkness represents our deepest fears. It represents despair, hatred, and various other uncomfortable realities. Light, on the other hand, if you think of light, the physical properties of light, it gives us warmth, comfort, safety, and illumination. So light also serves as a powerful symbol. But of course, light is a symbol for wisdom and truth, for the power of the light of truth to dispel the darkness of ignorance and prejudice. So this makes sense to us humans. And the symbol of light as truth is universal. Even back in the 16th century, the Dutch philosopher Erasmus said, "Give light and the darkness will disappear of itself." So as the days become darker and as we move towards the darkest day of the year, we celebrate light. We fill trees with light. We sing about light, as we just did. And we remember some of the founding stories of our culture as times of light, both literally and figuratively. So there's the Christmas story that we will celebrate next week with its Star of Wonder. But today is the final day of another important celebration of life. It is the last of the 8 days of Hanukkah. And I'm going to ask Holly Cummings to come up. Rather than me talking about Hanukkah, I'll ask Holly to come and tell us what Hanukkah is all about.
If you don't already know me, my name is Holly. I'm a grade 12 in Renfrew. With the holidays season here, the Reb and I decided I should come up and speak a bit about Hanukkah. It actually ended yesterday night at sunset. Hanukkah started 2 Sundays ago at sunset and lasts 8 days. Hanukkah is an 8-day celebration of light and oils in the Jewish community. It's often referred to as the Festival of Light. The celebration started thousands of years ago after a long war between the Jewish people and the Greeks. The Greeks had destroyed all of the Jewish people's temples, which resulted in the Jews having to rebuild. After rebuilding, there was only enough oil left for the candles to burn for one night, but miraculously, that little bit of oil burned for 8 nights. For this reason, we celebrate 8 nights of Hanukkah. Each night, we light another candle on an object called the menorah. The first night, 2 candles are lit. The shamash is the first candle, which we use to light the rest of them. So on the first night, we light 2 candles, the second night, 3. This is continued for all 8 nights. At Hanukkah, we receive gifts or money for kids that's typically chocolate coins and eat traditional Jewish foods. Because we're celebrating oil and light, most of the foods we tend to eat are cooked in oils. It is a very common example is latkes, or as some people know them, potato pancakes, commonly eaten with sour cream or applesauce. For me though, Hanukkah is more than just a Jewish version of Christmas or a time to get gifts. Hanukkah is a great time to get together with my extended family, eat amazing food, and surround myself with gratitude for all I have. The story of Hanukkah is one of hope and lets us appreciate our lives and all that we have along with our wonderful friends and family and the light we can share together.
So we celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas, both religiously and culturally, in these dark days with lots of light, kind of in order, I think, to stave off the darkness of this time of year and to celebrate and dedicate ourselves to living in the light of peace, hope, and love. So the challenge of this season, the question that we might reflect on is this one: how are we light to the world? How are we reflecting a love of truth? How are we manifesting courage against the darkness of despair and hatred? How are we sharing our light, our gifts, our talents, our love, and care for others? So those are some things to think about. The Bible says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others." So as you move around in the dark, as we go to bed in the dark and get up in the dark, let's really think about the power of that symbol of light that we also see all around us these days. And I'm going to invite Jojo up. This is a time of year, come on up, Jojo, with all the other things that are going on, it's also a time of year as we get to the close of the year, it's a time to kind of reminisce a little bit and think back on the year behind us and some of the highlights.
Good morning. With winter here and the first term finally over, it is time to reflect on the past few months and what made first term a successful beginning to the school year. Before we forget about the term, it's important to remember the memories formed up until now. Especially for the grade 12s, this year will be over before you know it, and we owe it to ourselves to soak everything in, because even through the rough and the grind, these will be the best times of our lives. With the help of Nate and Carolina, I'm going to have them come around and ask a few questions about what your favorite parts of first term have been.
From this school year.
Well, first shout out Will, man. Second, my favorite memories were Snowfest and the Lonsdale's house outing, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, Isaac, what was your favorite part about the first term?
Okay. I think my favorite part of the first term was destroying AJ in fantasy geopolitics and Eva.
Annika, what was your favorite memory from this school year?
Definitely Carolina wearing headphones at Snowfest that weren't even plugged in.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. As short or as long as it felt, the first term was filled with a lot of different things. With a bang, we began the term with opening day, where all the new students looked like lost dogs on campus, and Talani and I struggled through speeches and came out with more confused people than before. Moving to Interhouses, we started off with track and field, where Coatman surprised everyone with their top 3 finish, which wasn't apparent in the past few years. Well done, Coatmans. As always, the next day was rough, as everyone imitated frog noises from torn vocal cords. We soon leapt into interhouse volleyball, where Sergio demonstrated what the sport would be like if you didn't need to jump. And Strathcona, or I should say the senior girls volleyball team, found a great game against Kays at the very end of the night. Finally, for the interhouses, soccer ironically put lots of people, mostly hockey players including me, in the nurse's office. I could hear Mr. Doyle in my head yelling, "Stop being so soft," over and over again. In the sports world, many teams ended their seasons on a high note and enjoyed some fun towards the end of the term. Specifically, the staff versus senior girls volleyball game, where Mr. V dominated the court. Additionally, we brought back the Dodgeball fundraiser in an attempt to contribute to the Cause for Cancer event, which showed this time the staff team accepting defeat at the hands of the students. In recognition of cancer research, we kicked off with the annual Terry Fox run. With TK finishing first, this ended up being the spark to TK and Mr. Swanell's ongoing beef for who has better cardio. Next, we had the Tour de Rock. I want to thank AJ for coming forward and courageously telling her story related to the event. This made the occasion very special for all of us, so once again, thank you. Next, we had Thanksgiving dinner, where the boys, keeping a solid 2 feet from the girls, awkwardly took their dinner dates down to Marion Hall. Following Thanksgiving, the school found itself in a busy Founders Day weekend, with Mr. Coy tearing up the alumni hockey game alongside Mr. Murdy, mixed with an infinite amount of gatherings all day long. In the following weeks, as things started to cool down, we happily found warmth by burning our headmaster in a special bonfire, which I heard rumors would become an annual event called the Headmaster's Roast. On the topic of warmth, staff, students, and families gathered at the front of the main building last week to witness our first ever winter light up, succeeding in a number of people falling victim to a cold the very next day. With the winter feeling everywhere, lots of Snowfest asks took place, including Ethan and Parky's, which went neck and neck with Nate and Kirana's. As the big night came, the highlights were definitely Drulio's moves on stage, and once again, the faces of each staff member as Mo Bamba hit the floor. For this event, I want to thank Paige for organizing basically everything, and Dalen as he faced possibly everything that can go wrong for a DJ, ranging from speaker malfunctions to Caro wearing his unplugged headphones on stage for the majority of the dance. Despite the chaos, they both did a great job, so thank you. In the chapel world, we were all treated with lots of great moments, starting with a demonstration of how to sing well when your mic doesn't work at the Gurlow Chapel featuring Go and Aria. From the prefects, we have the famous Please Stand from Atusa, which kicked off the day on a great note, and also a punchline from Sarah's joke of the day. The final big moment in chapel would most definitely be the chorus of screams when Mr. V entered the building fashionably early for the Saturday chapel last week. This brings us to last week at midterm exams, which is probably better off left not mentioned. With a busy week coming up, there's still lots to look forward, such as Mr. McDaniel's Magic and Air Band, the annual Christmas chapel, the Christmas dinner, and the house parties afterwards. 1 week left. Let's push through till the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo, so much for that. Open your books to 55, Adeste Fidelis, please. So it's a tradition to sing this, what is in English, O Come All Ye Faithful, in Latin for us. We're going to just do the first verse today. And I know not all of you are Latin scholars. I was just trying to calculate when I last took Latin, and it was 50 years ago. And that's not a joke. It was literally 50 years ago that I was in Latin class. So, but I'll just go through this with you quickly, and then we'll sing the first verse. And I think that'll be it for today. So there's two kinds of Latin. Of course, there's classic Latin, which is a little harder, and there's the church Latin, which is with the softer G's and C's and whatnot. And that's really the one more suited for singing. So that's the one we'll use. So Adeste Fideles, I'm going to be good. Adeste Fideles Laeti Triumphantes. Try that. Adeste Fideles Laeti Triumphantes. Good. Venite, Venite, and Bethlehem. Try that. Natum vidite regem angelorum. Natum vidite. Your pronunciation is actually better than mine. And then we sing Venite adoremus. And then the end is Dominum. And of course, those of us who've been around for a while know that, how does it work? The girls sing the first, Venite adoremus, the boys sing the second, and then we all sing the last, Venite adoremus. So let's try that, just that first verse. Please stand. Thank you all. That was great. You realize this is the last Tuesday morning in 2018 that you'll have to get up early. So thank you all for how wonderful you've been in chapel this year. Have a great day.